Welcome to ManuVAR Trial 2. In this video you are going to see examples of how ManuVAR will improve manual work at different stages of the system lifecycle and across a number of industries.
This virtual model illustrates ManuVAR's various applications at different stages of the product lifecycle. In the following section, Carlo from Thales Alenia Space in Torino will introduce the trial for Cluster 1. This cluster looks at design procedure for assembly in the context of Cat3 and use case 2. It applies to the define stage of the product lifecycle and covers activities such as virtual prototyping, evaluation, and manual work design.
In Trial 2, we want to test Cluster 1 use case 2 using Cat3, and that means covering the part of lifecycle regarding the task planning. For our use case, the task planning is split up into different parts. The first one is the creation or developing of the procedure. The second one is the validation of the procedure. In Trial 2, we are going to test just the validation part, and we are going to test this kind of new application in the virtual environment because in Trial 1 we have the opportunity to test this kind of application just on the laptop. So the user will be seated here on this table using the Apple device and looking at the virtual environment on this big power wall. And the visualization will be in 3D thanks to this kind of glasses that allow the visualization, the stereoscopic visualization.
So now you can grab the object by pressing this button and holding it, and then you can move it around. And if you collide somewhere, it will vibrate and the object will turn red.
Trial 2 showed some improvement respect to Trial 1. We have seen the possibility to interact with the scene not only with keyboard and mouse, but also using the action device, and the visualization element was displayed not only on the laptop, but also on the power wall. And this was a big improvement. For Trial 3, we try to keep implementing the HTA tool and more requirements according to use case requirements, and we will try also to implement use case 1 with Cat1 in order to cover the on-site support for the life cycle of ManuVAR.
Next, Hu from TNO in the Netherlands will describe the trial that took place for Cluster 2. Using Cat2 and use case 2, this cluster focuses on designing and testing new and existing workstations. It relates to the realized stage of the product lifecycle, which includes product design, manufacturing, and assembly and testing.
Okay, we have here Cluster 2, use case 2, and it's about designing and testing existing and new work processes. We saw in the situation that his neck and arms were red and that the back was green, and after that we rearranged the workstation, and now we will do the whole thing again, and we hopefully see that the arms and neck will become green. What we are going to see now is a real operator in a real workstation. Antti is wearing his suit, and his motions and postures will be captured. And this data will be analyzed by a software. This is the HF element. And in this HF elements, ergonomic guidelines are in. And after they are analyzed, they will be giving feedback to the expert what is red and what is yellow and what is green. And red means riskful postures and movements, and green means safe postures and movements. Now we have just finished our trial, and we tested two situations. Operator sitting and operating standing in this workstation. And this is the result of the second situation about this standing. And what we see that the arms are and the neck and the back are analyzed. So we see the improvement for the neck, and the arms are still red. We have to reconfigure the bins a bit. Yes, now we have this CAT2 tested in a real mock-up workstation, and we would like to test this CAT2 also in the design phase, so in a virtual environment. So, and then after that will the CAT be tested in the real situation. So then you have the design and the real situation, and then you can compare the results.
Now Tim, from NEM Solutions in San Sebastian, is going to tell us about the trial that took place for Cluster 3. Cluster 3 is concerned with remote maintenance assistance and support in the context of CAT1 and use cases 1 and 2. It applies to the retire stage of the product lifecycle, which covers use and support, maintenance and service, and disassembly and recycling.
Okay, welcome to Cluster 3, Trial 2, CAT1. This cluster is all about remote maintenance assistance, and in this trial we are simulating an expert maintenance user here in an office, and out on field we have a worker or a field engineer who is with a piece of equipment that he is not familiar with. So we have two use cases. The first use case is the field worker is able to access certain diagnostics information or maintenance records to help him try and assess the fault. And the second use case is actually communicating with a maintenance expert here, so that will be me. And so I will try and assist him in finding the fault of the equipment. The screen behind me here shows what the field engineer actually sees through the goggles that he is wearing. So through his goggles he can see a real image, and on top of that image he has an overlay of a 3D engineering model. We have an electrical hazard, and so you should see on through your glasses there a triangular symbol highlighting a component part.
Oh, I can see it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So don't go too close to that part. Could you please tell me what the level is on the pressure gauge, so that we can tell if it's normal or not?
I think it's about 7.8.
Okay.
That's what I can see.
Okay. Thank you, Nico. So with that information, in theory, that should be able to help you identify perhaps the condition of each component. That's Trial 2, Cluster 3 completed, and we're very pleased to say that it has been very successful. Some of the major improvements since the last trial has been the alignment and the calibration of the augmented reality image on the real image that the user sees. Particularly, the user liked the use of circles and arrows to highlight particular parts, which is something that you cannot communicate just by telephone or just by standard video transmission. The user now has the option to use different symbols, which we didn't have before, to highlight areas of risk such as electrical hazards or harmful chemical substances. We're looking at the possibility of using markerless trackers, and also integrating the solution for this cluster with another CAT, and also using the virtual model which is used in all of the clusters.
This next section shows the trial for Cluster 4. This cluster focuses on training using CATs 2 and 4 and use case 1. Arcadio from the University of Malaga will introduce the trial. Cluster 4 relates to the use stage of the life cycle and includes activities such as sales and delivery and user training.
This is cluster 4 use case 1, and we are going to test here 2 roles that can use this application. We can see here the setup for the trainee, which is wearing these stereoscopic glasses in order to see in 3D the environment, and is grabbing this haptic device, which is linked to the tool with he or she has to perform the task. Here in this application, an exercise is proposed, and this exercise is built with another application used by a different user, that is the trainer. So we are testing 2 roles, the role of the trainee that is using this application, and the role of the trainer that is using a lesson builder to build the exercise shown here. So now you don't have to use the phantom, but the mouse to click on the right answer that is going to be proposed here. Okay.